language which has influenced Indonesian languages, especially in terms of vocabulary. A large portion of vocabulary of Bahasa Indonesia also comes from other languages like Tamil and Urdu. Ibuwati introduced a great vocabulary that shows similarities in our words. I would like to say some few words like Guru, Siswa, Manusia, Dunia, Jawab, Achar, Chutti, Charita, and so on. I must appreciate Ibuwati's pedagogical approach for teaching a foreign language to adults and children. It was very distinctive, it was very engaging, and it created a lot of interest in all the learners in the class. Terima kasih Ibuwati and Mohun Mahav. Sorry for speaking in English because Mahabharata is very complex epic. I will not be able to speak in Bahasa Indonesia. So sorry all my friends, but I will just speak in English, but all my slides will have a lot of pictures so that you will be able to gain what I say. I feel it's okay. May I start my presentation? Terima kasih. Just let me know whether this is visible to you all. Is it clear? Can you see?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Miss.
Terima kasih. Now I'll just switch off my camera because it will not allow me to have both the things. Please allow me. India and Indonesia share profound connection due to similar colonial history. Both gained independence in late 1940s after struggling against colonial powers. Both countries, Indonesia and India, sought political sovereignty, economic self-sufficiency, and independent foreign policy after gaining independence. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, India's first Prime Minister, and his Indonesian counterpart led the non-alignment movement. We are commemorating, celebrating 75 75 years of establishment of our diplomatic relations. Recently, Indian Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi met His Excellency Prabowo Subianto, President of Indonesia, in November 2024, just last month, on the sidelines of G20 summit in Brazil. The two leaders reaffirmed their commitment to strengthen bilateral ties in the framework of their partnership. They discussed cooperation in the fields of trade, investment, security, tourism, health, and people-to-people ties. India and Indonesia share epic of Ramayana and Mahabharata.
Excuse me, Miss Gauri.
Yes.
Please your slideshow untuk ini apa namanya PowerPoint-nya.
Just check whether it's visible. Is it visible?
No. Okay. Sip. Okay, yes. Good.
Okay. If you want, I can just check once again. F5. Just tell me whether it's visible to you. Is it visible? Can you see?
Okay.
Can you see my slide?
Yes.
Yeah, Ibu. Yeah.
I just want to come to today's lecture, that is Mahabharata, an enduring appeal for literature and politics, because I know many of the students and teachers, they come from language background. You are students of language, linguistics, and literature. So we are going to say something. I want to say something about literature. And as I am a student of political science, I would also like to focus on political dimension of Mahabharata. India and Indonesia share the epic Ramayana and Mahabharata, which have influenced our cultures for centuries, and they act as a bridge between our culture and people. Against this background, I would like to start my presentation. Please let me know whether the slide which I am just showing you, second slide, is visible to you, or still the first slide is there. Ibuvati,
Second slide. Thank you, ma'am.
can you see now agenda slide?
Yes, ma'am. We can see agenda
Yes.
slide.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Today I'm going to present Mahabharata, an enduring and eternal appeal to literature and politics. Though many of our listeners, participants, they know the story of Mahabharata, I'm going to narrate a brief version of this heroic work. I want to confess that I'm not a student or a teacher of literature just like you all. So please don't expect any novel, literature related facet in my presentation. Rather, I would be more comfortable while explaining political dimension. The picture on this slide is of Arjun and Krishna. They both are on the battleground, and Krishna is giving the rendition of Bhagavad Gita. He is giving that advice to Arjuna. I thought Gita is the end point of Mahabharata, but it has got eternal appeal world over. So I'm starting by reminding the fag end of Mahabharata, which is really a treasure trove of values and philosophy. Now we come to the third slide, where I would like to talk about Mahabharata. Before I start with the plot of Mahabharata, let me talk about the text of Mahabharata. The picture on this slide is of Sage Vyasa and Lord Ganesh. Sage Vyas is the real author, or sometimes is referred as the editor of Mahabharata, and his Siswa or disciple is Lord Ganesh, the god of wisdom, is the scribe or the writer. That means Vyasa is giving, just dictating, and Lord Ganesh is writing down. But this must be an imaginary story, Charita. As we all know, this epic of Mahabharata is an oral appeal which went from one generation to the other with the oral tradition. That means people just learned it and they sang it so that the next generation came to know about this story. So, though I have just added this picture, this must be a fictional picture. Text of Mahabharata is supposed to get developed in three stages. It's an epic, it's a huge thing which has got three stages. Jaya is victory or triumph. Kamanangan, this is the first stage, having 8,800 verses. Second stage is Bharata. Again, the meaning is story, where second stage comprises 23,000 verses. And Mahabharata, Maha is great, Bharat is story, which has 1 lakh verses. It's a huge book and it's a huge epic, which was orally compiled in Sanskrit language. It tells us a story of a family involved in a battle or a tussle that leads to battle. The epic is an effortless verse and has many episodes. We can see from the number of verses that it is impossible to have just a single text. So there are many books within the books. Though it looks like there are individual pieces, while still being loosely connected to one another. So all these verses tell us only one story, which is a continuation and which talks about 6 generations. Here, for your just for a sake of interest, I have added Mahabharat, the title, in Devanagari script, because in Indonesia, you all are using Roman script just like English, but in India, we have different scripts for different languages. So here, Mahabharat is written in Hindi, Marathi, Sanskrit, like for which we use the script called Devanagari. There are 6 generations. I have shown a family history here where the 6 generations of Kuru dynasty, Kuru kingdom has been shown, and the word Kaurav comes from this Kuru ancestry. King Shantanu was there who married Ganga, and as Ibuvati was talking about Bhishma, Bhishma happens to be son of King Shantanu and Ganga. And when Ganga left Shantanu, he married Satyavati, a fisherwoman from Dasa family. But she had relationship before King Shantanu came to her in her life with sage Parashara, and they had a son, sage Vyasa. King Shantanu had 2 more sons, Vichitravirya and Chitrangad, but Chitrangad died as a child. So Vichitravirya married Ambalika, and they had Dhritarashtra, Pandu, and Vidura as the 3rd generation. And then we just can say that sons of Pandu, they were 5 Pandavas, 3 from Kunti and 2 from Madri. And there is one more Pandav, and that is Karna. Kunti had before her marriage, and Dhritarashtra had 100 Kuru sons, that is Kauravas. And then I have shown you the whole family history. We will not go into it. Now, I will start the plot or the story in very briefly. If everyone knows, I hope it is not boring. If somebody doesn't know the story, would be a new thing to them. What is Mahabharata? What is the story? Mahabharata is a major Indian mythological Sanskrit epic. It is exactly the epic which is revered and respected in Indonesia. It narrates the great war between 2 families, 2 dynasties, 2 kingdoms, 2 dynasties known as Kauravas and Pandav. It is not just a family history or a fiction, it's a philosophical and devotional story. Philosophical because it gives us a lot of values, and devotional because it talks about lords and gods and goddesses. So this particular epic has many inspiring characters woven into different chapters. The story of Mahabharata starts with King Shantanu from Kuru dynasty who ruled Hastinapur. Hastinapur is the name of his kingdom. He married goddess Ganga, river Ganga, which is very holy when it comes to Indian culture and heritage. She had a son, she and Shantanu, King Shantanu, had a son called Bhishma, who was one of the most prominent characters of Mahabharata. Ganga left the king and his son to fulfill her holy duties. Shantanu married Satyavati after Ganga left him. He had 2 sons with her, Vichitravirya and Chitrangad. Vichitravirya, who was his eldest son from Satyavati, became the king. He had 3 sons named Dhritarashtra, Pandu, and Vidur. To our left, there are 2 pictures. The first picture talks about Ganga and Shantanu. Ganga being a river, she's standing in the river, and there are a lot of lotus and other water lilies telling us about the river. And the picture of a sage is of Bhishma. So these are the Ganga, Shantanu, and Bhishma characters from the beginning. Dhritarashtra was his eldest son, but he was visually impaired, that is blind, you call Bhuta, Tuna Netra. So Pandu became the king. Dhritarashtra was married to a princess of Gandhar, that is today's Afghanistan, and her name was Gandhari. Dhritarashtra and Gandhari had 100 sons and a daughter Dushila or Sushila. These 100 sons were called Kauravas. Pandu married Kunti and Madri. He had 5 sons with the blessings of 5 different gods. There is a story that he couldn't reproduce, so he requested Kunti to use her vidya, her skill, to get to just invite gods, and then they could have the blessing and then they could have sons. His sons were called Pandav, Yudhishthir, Bhima, and Arjun of Kunti's sons, and Nakula and Sahadeva, twins from Madri. It was a secret, not known, that Kunti was already an unwed mother, that before her marriage, she was a mother to a son named Karna. I've tried to give you pictures of 5 Pandavas at the top, and the one who is wearing that golden armor, he is Karna because he was son of sun god Surya, so he could get those things naturally for his own defense. Pandu and his wife Madri died in the forest, so Kunti returned to the kingdom with her 5 sons. But Kauravas and Pandavas, they couldn't get along with each other. They used to fight a lot, and there was problem in their in daily routine also. Kaurav always tried to kill Pandav, but they failed every time. There is one picture that talks about where there was a conspiracy, and Duryodhan wanted these people to get burned alive or ablaze, but they just escaped from that particular fire. So that one conspiracy related picture is there. And after which one of their conspiracies was successful when they ran away, after which the Pandav and their mother had to go into hiding in forests. During that period, Arjun married a princess Draupadi, and when they all 5 brothers came along with Draupadi to Kunti, she didn't look at them. And she said, when Arjuna said, or Yudhishthir said, just see who is with us, she said, or what we have brought. Kunti said, distribute it among all of you equally. That's how Draupadi became a wife of 5 brothers. After that, when they came back to Hastinapur, they were again exiled to the forest for 13 years because Yudhishthir lost everything to the Kauravas in game of dice or in a gamble, or we call it as a dute. This last picture talks about Kunti not just looking at Draupadi, just saying to all the 5 Pandavas, they were in hiding, so they were not in their royal attire or dress. They were wearing sage dress, and Draupadi is there, and they are talking about that particular thing. Now, as we have seen that gamble or dute or dice game, I've tried to give you pictures where we can see that Pandavas are losing everything to Shakuni, Uncle Shakuni, and they just lost everything. So the way Mahabharata comes out with values, it talks about human vices, human problems, and the things that how people get lured or they follow wrong things very easily. When Pandav returned after their exile, the eldest son of Dhritarashtra, Duryodhan, in a language, when we are talking about language, Dur is gives connotation as bad. So the one who is very good warrior is known as Suyodhan, and the bad person is known as Duryodhan. Actually, no parent will just name their children with bad connotations. So we should call Suyodhan instead of Duryodhan, but it's okay. Dhritarashtra's eldest son Duryodhan refused to give back the kingdom to Pandavas. Pandav wanted their kingdom back, and the stage was set for the greatest battle, despite efforts by Lord Krishna to bring peace. The war between Kaurav and Pandav went on for 18 days. At the end of the war, the Pandav defeated Kaurav, and Yudhishthir was crowned the king. Bhagavad Gita is the last end of Mahabharata. It is a great conversation between Arjuna, who is at the feet of Lord Krishna, and his chariot is there. So we can see that it is a battlefield. And both are just having a discussion because Arjun can't just kill his own beloved cousins and his Bhishma, his grandfathers, and all relatives. So he can't go on this battle. He's asking for advice. And Bhagavad Gita is this advice that Lord Krishna gives to Arjun. It's a great conversation about dharma. Dharma is one's own duty, and karma is one's deed and responsibilities. And this happened on the battlefield. It is a divine discourse, divine because Lord Krishna is our God, and He, God in the sense for the culture feels He has reached one level of godly person. So He gave this divine discourse. Gita is being revered or respected as a true source of spiritual knowledge. It reveals the purpose and goal of human existence, why we are here, who are we, and what is our duty, and how to fulfill this duty and make the life a glorious thing for us. Mahabharata, the great epic, reminds us that good is always victorious against evil. So that's why the first name of this epic is Jaya, or victory. One should always fight for the rights as Pandavas fought for their own and privileges that the Kaurav had taken from them by false means and by conspiracies. Mahabharata unveils or tells us or makes clear very valuable life lessons and broadens or widens our understanding about ethics, about morality, and about humanity. You all are students of um, literature, so you all know better than me what is an importance of an epic. There are different epics that come from Indonesia, India, and from Asia, and there are epics which are European, like Iliad and all. They are different kind of epics, but they generally show similar features. What is an epic? Why do we give this particular status to Mahabharata as an epic? Epic is a heroic poem with a long narrative and a serious subject matter. It's a collection of series of events because we have seen the story is of 6 generations together, and there are so many complex relations of every person with the other. So it's a serious events. One major happening that determines the fate of humanity at large. So we can say the battle determined that it just involved a lot of violence. The way we say that First World War or Second World War had a lot of violence, and it had damaged a lot of just wealth and resources along with it, killed millions of people. Similarly, there is a huge battle over there in Mahabharata, and I know Indonesia looks at this epic from the battle view. That's why you called it as Bharata Yuddha. Epics are often national and of universal significance, and we have already seen they never remain of one country. They go to other cultures and they create a bond in between people. Why it is so? Why is it so? Because always epics are about warriors, about war, about bravery, about legends, about folk tales, and about histories. And all these things go directly into our heart. So they are very dear to us. We like reading epics and reciting those epics. And still, after thousands of years, even today, we try to just think about this and try to see this importance and significance of this epic. Setting of epic is usually grand, it is royal, and it is always superhuman. Even in Ramayana, it is superhuman. It depicts larger than life scenes. In Gita, Krishna shows his larger than life image where he tries to show that whole universe is there within Krishna. It talks about vivid descriptions, long speeches, and elaborate greetings. It talks about hardships, journeys, adventures, and misadventures because it's very human to have victory and to lose sometimes. So we also talk about victories and losses. It encompasses or it creates a large time frame because we are talking about 6 generations. It is wide ranging in time and space and also in characters. Hundreds and thousands of characters are there. European epics and Asian epics are different, I already said, but still there are common features. And one of them is it is human and divine characters. When we go to European things, there are gods and demigods. In our Indian and Indonesian culture, we have lords, devis, devatas, and we also have human characters. Also, it talks about moral values. It talks about conflicts between good and bad, between evil and between good people and characters. It also talks about dharma and adharma. Dharma is duty and what we should not indulge into. But the basic point that every epic gives to humanity is optimism, hope that we are going to have something which is very positive at the end and it promises a better world for all of us. That's why we all cherish epics as our culture. How this particular Mahabharat epic was just went from one generation to the other. It is narrator's epic because there should be one narrator. Every epic has a narrator, and epics also normally begin with prayer to gods. This is usually performed by narrator who then sets the epic in motion. There are themes and questions related to truth, humanity, and they could open debate on what is justice, what is fairness, what is injustice, and why there is violence and wars. Both are very important themes that narrator generally gives description about. Generation of narrators confirming the changes in language, styles in their context, they have reworked, and that's why we find many editions of Mahabharata. The picture to the left side talks about the narrator. King Janamejai is sitting on a throne. He is the 6th generation of Pandav, and there Vaishampayan who's standing, he's narrating the Mahabharat story to the whole assembly. See how many sages and people have gathered there, and he's just narrating the story. And what is happening? We can see that the nag, the snakes, ular, you call ular, the snakes are being sacrificed in the yajna. The tale as recited by Vaishampayan to King Janamejai is heard by Ugra Shrava, the son of a bard, famous storyteller. He heard this story when this king was being given the story of Mahabharata, and then he became the first narrator. And he gave a lot of repetitions about Mahabharata's narration. The second narrator was Vaishampayan himself, who for the first time gave this story to Janamejai. And the third narrator is Sanjay, because please remember, Dhritarashtra was visually impaired, a blind person, he couldn't go to the war. So he was sitting in his own royal court, and Sanjay used to narrate what is happening every day on the battle. We saw that the battle was going on for 18 days. So Sanjay was a narrator, the last narrator of Mahabharata, who just talked about the every happening on the what battlefield, and he narrated the whole battle to Dhritarashtra. So Ugrashrava, then Sanjay, and this Vaishampayan, these are the three narrators. Why do we require narrators? Because this is a oral communication. It comes from one generation to the other, because at that time we didn't have printing press, we didn't have books, and nothing was in the written form. So story is told by someone to someone, face to face. So you can see how king and the narrator are sitting in front of, and that narrator is having veena in his hand, and he's singing this verses of Mahabharata. And some point of time, the tailor and the one who is giving this narration and those who are in the audience, they generate a very great bond of friendship, a relationship with that story told. When it's an oral thing, when it goes from one's mouth to the others, it's a memory related thing. Oral epic contains many episodes and legends which are added in that particular. So in Mahabharata, though it was written by Vyas or edited by Vyas earlier, all the narrators included their own versions. So that's why it is story within stories. There can't be just a single story of Mahabharata. Mahabharata is basically a string of many stories, as many beads, many gems are woven together. But why it is so popular then? It's oral and it was not in the written form. It was very simple verse form, having lyrical quality. When you sing those, you can just see all the, I can tell Ibuwati can sing all Indian Bollywood songs. Why? Because they are so lyrical, they are rhyming, that it becomes very easy to just learn and to remember. Also, she has a knack for learning foreign languages, so it is very easy for her. But for all the narrators in Mahabharata, it was a lyrical quality that helped them to sing it, to remember it, and to sing it from place to place, from generations to generations. This is not just the epic, it's about the folk traditions, it about the total folklores, folk tales. Also, it includes fables and parables. I really don't know the words. What do you call it in Bahasa Indonesia? But we can definitely, I can give the um, explanation of it. That Mahabharata is about Kaurava and Pandav and Dhritarashtra and Bhishma, all are human beings. But along with human beings, on this planet Earth, there is a place for animals, trees, and all other living forms. So, Mahabharata just takes care of many tales, many fables, and parables also. um, it's basically a collection, a collective ownership. Okay, this tale is told as the beasts and birds. So here I would like to say it's a combination of fable and parables. Fables include animals, whereas parables are always given by human beings, and they are very short stories, but they have moral lessons, and they talk about life lessons as well. Fable tale is told as a beasts and birds. There is a famous mango tree, Manga Pohon fable, and Pandavas and Draupadi reveal a secret to one tree. Now see, Pandav and Draupadi all are human beings, and they are sharing their secret to a mango tree, Manga Pohon, which then sprouts fruits to appease guests sent by Duryodhana. So when Duryodhana has this conspiracy of sending people to them, and so that they will not be able to offer anything, this mango tree produces more and more fruits in order to satisfy the guests sent by Duryodhana. So many fables are there. I've just given you one example. There are many important or popular fables of Swan and the Crow, the pigeon sacrifice, and Bidala Vrata, that is about cat. Parables are human beings as the central figure there. So there is Old Man's Parable, which compares five Pandavas as five senses. Our five senses: eyes, then our ears, our nose, our tongue, and our skin. These are our five senses. So five Pandavas have been compared as five senses. And 100 Kauravas are all the vices that are there in us, all the bad things, that jealousy and also anger and anxiety. These are the vices that are there within all of us. So Kauravas and Pandav are nothing but our own vices and virtues. And King Brahmadatta and King Shibi and their sacrifices parables are always interwoven in Mahabharata so as to give life lessons. So it is epic. It is also combination of fables and parables. Is it a historical text? Is Mahabharata a poetic expression of that time? Is it a book of moral laws or scriptures? Yes, it's written, when it got written in the simplest verse form. Verses are shlokas, and shlokas are just 4 line verses. Epic is also known as Dhvani Kavya. Kavya is poetry, Dhvani is sound, or the poetry of suggestion, the highest form of poetic composition. Vast majority of verses of Mahabharata are composed in Anustub meter. We have seen Mahabharata is a lyrical kind of a thing which went from one generation to the other as oral, how we can sing it. It is fit into a meter of Anushtup, and it's a shloka. It's a meter of 4 feet of 8 syllables each. So there are not more than 8 syllables in every line. So it is easy to just remember and learn. The meter and the style varies in the text in relation to subject being narrated. Also, we all know that it is time immemorial text, so lot of changes and modifications have taken place, and this text has become ever productive because of the narratives and the different narrations that have taken place. We say that Mahabharata is defined as a collective ownership by a community or people who added their experiences, their compositions from generations to generations. This kind of literature is a very important literary text and folk tradition. I have given you a story here, a picture here, which talks about Swami Vivekananda. He was a philosopher and a social worker who comes from West Bengal, and he has written a lot about India's culture, India's heritage. So he says this was the great work of Krishna, Bhagavad Gita, and Mahabharata to clear our eyes and make us look with broader vision upon humanity in its march upward and onward. His was the first heart that was so large enough to see truth in all, his first lips that uttered beautiful words for each and all. So, this is praise of Lord Krishna done by Swami Vivekananda. And he says that epics like Ramayana and Mahabharata have a grip over our minds, human minds, our memories, our imagination, and identities. They just talk about manners, customs, norms that society respects, and how it enslaves people. It talks about civilization, unending array of grand and majestic characters of the mighty heroes depicted by genius and mastermind of Vyasa. I will not go into details, but he is just talking about all these characters, that how people are God fearing, how they are very feeble. And Dhritarashtra was there, Bhishma was there as a grandsire, was a noble person, like Yudhishthira was there, how they have shown devotion, loyalty, and might and their wisdom. But still, there were fallen characters, and because of that, we can just learn a lot of life lessons. And Ramayana and Mahabharata, the epics that have been cherished as a cherished heritage for all of us for several thousand years with these moral ideas. Now, sorry, so excuse me. Now we come to, is there a single text called Mahabharata? When we are looking at literature, I just had these questions and I thought that let me just present different versions of different scholars in front of you. That Mahabharata has been the epic that has translated into all Indian languages and also into English. We have 22 official languages which have been included in our constitution, and there are thousands of dialects that people are speaking other than these languages. Mahabharata is like a rolling stone which paradoxically gathered moss as it rolled from one generation to the other, with the result that there are multiple versions of Mahabharata. So there can't be only one single text of Mahabharata. There are many versions of Mahabharata. In some way, this bears out the truth that poets have told it before about the epic. Poets are telling it now, and other poets shall tell this history on earth in the future also. So it's a time immemorial story which will remain here with all of us. These are again pictures of different versions of Mahabharata done by not only Indians but by Western scholars. Okay, so this shows how there is a appeal, literary appeal to all minds all over the world, and not only it is confined to India and Indonesia, but a lot of books and a lot of versions have come out of Mahabharata, and they all have been published, and some of them have been just enacted by some of the artists in the form of drama or ballet, the way you do it in Indonesia. So even Western world got hooked to this particular epic. Now, I would like to say something about the critical edition of Mahabharata. You all being the students of literature, you all should know that still there is a confusion whether this is real story, whether this is real history, or just an epic. So, the one institution called Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute from Pune, the city from which I come from, it has a project of more than 40 years where they tried to get all the versions of Mahabharata from all over the world, and they tried to edit it. So that's how a critical edition of Mahabharata of 19 volumes has come out with thousands of manuscripts and thousands of books. It was released in 1966 at the hands of our president, then President Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. He happens to be teacher's teacher, and we celebrate 5th of September as Teachers' Day in India, which is in the memory of this particular person, Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. Now I come to last part of the. Sorry, is there any problem? Okay.
Okay, aman, Miss Gauri.
Yes.
Yes, good.
Okay, may I
Nice.
go ahead? I have not yet finished.
No.
May I continue?
Okay, continue, yes.
Yes, thank you. Now, this whole Mahabharata, which is an epic of lakhs of verses, has been abridged into just a single version, a single shlok, a single verse. I have given you both the scripts, English and Devanagari, along with the meaning of it. Adau Pandavadhartara Rashtra Jananam Laksha Gruhe Dahanam Dyute Shri Haranam Vane Viharanam Matsyalaye Vardhanam Leela Gograhanam Rane Pitaranam Sandhikriya Jrumbhanam Bhishmadrona Suyodhanadi Matanam Etat Mahabharatam. The birth of sons of Pandu and Dhritarashtra and the failed attempt of burning alive Pandavas in a wax house, wealth grabbled illegally, exile in forest of Pandavas, retreat in the house of Matsya kingdom, cows stolen and rescued in a battle of Virat, attempts for compromises between Pandavas and Kauravas by Lord Krishna, all failed. Bhishma, Drona and Duryodhan all got killed on the battle, that is Mahabharata. So the whole story of those lakhs of verses has been compiled, abridged into just a single shloka. Now we come to Mahabharata as a tangible heritage for Indonesia. It has been circulated in Indonesia since 10th century, and it was translated in Javanese under the reign of King Dharmavangsa of Medang, and this known as Kakavin Bharata Yuddha. You all know better than me. But the themes are same. They have come from generations, and they provide very strong foundation for the culture, psychology, and political philosophy here in your country as well. So the first picture is about Krishna and Arjun. The second is the twins. You all know these statues of Nakula and Sahadev, the Bhima, the mighty one, and the picture with chariot is of Ghatotkach, son of Bhima. Also, it has not remained in a book form or in a literature form, but it has been acted upon, and it has given a lot of livelihood for many narrators and for many puppeteers and other art forms. Retelling the story with the help of puppetry is your own strength, and I have just compiled information about Dalang and Vayankul performances where people are using puppetry, and they are just showing stories of Ghatotkach, Bhima, Arjun, Abhimanyu to all the people. Here you can just find two pictures of woodwork and the puppet and puppeteers. And we all know that this puppeteering is very important in Indonesia because it's a storytelling parampara, a tradition of Guru Shishyas. Also, it talks about dramas, but I will not go into it. Now I come to my point. What is political in Mahabharata? When we try to understand the political dimension, we try to see the relationship between one individual and collectivity. Does Kunti have any right to give a birth before marriage? because a society and her family is collectivity. Is she giving her that right? What about Bhishma? Why he is celibate? Why he can't be the king? Why he is giving all sort of allowances and permissions to Duryodhan to just go ahead? Again, relationship between individuality and collectivity. Also, politics is continuous activity, because whether it's a family, whether it's friends, whether it is states, it's always there is a weighing of options, choices, selection, and conflicts. Politics is a process by which scarce resources, human resource, material resource, spiritual resources are allocated, and people fight for that. Here land becomes the resource, and two families are fighting for that land, for that kingdom. Basically, politics is nothing but shaping and sharing power and power relations. So, Mahabharata is a complex, multifaceted epic that talks about a lot of complex political things, and that is about power, about dharma, adharma, dominance, subordination, conflict resolution, war, and peace, about diplomacy and strategy. Because it is a battle for who will be the next king. So it's a matter of power. Then trying to have dominance over Pandavas. This is Kaurav's characteristic, and subordination of women and subordination of tribals. It is about conflict resolution when we didn't want to have war, and also it was a diplomacy by Krishna when he went ahead as a diplomat or a messenger. Also, Dute and other games tell us strategies and crisis management. When we come to political dimension, we are talking about state, statehood, and about the dharma and adharma. So Shanti Parva is the book, the 12th book, that talks about all the state and political apparatus. It talks about peace. That's why it is known as Shanti. Shanti is peace. And it starts when Yudhishthir just got the, he became the king. And it is after the Bhishma, the great sire, died. So battle ends and Yudhishthir comes to power, and then Shanti Parva starts talking about different, how the ruler should be, what are the duties of the king, how one should be a good king during normal times and during emergencies, how he should work for justice, giving justice to people, how he should give prosperity to people. So it's everything about welfare state that Shanti Parva is talking. It also talks about how state came into being. In political science, we talk about divine origin theories of state, how it's a divine thing that king came to be the son of the god, and how they started ruling, and how we have gone towards democracy, how it is about family and varna system and social structures. So all the political dimensions of dharma, dharma is duty, and it is raja dharma, royal's duty. So this is king's duty that Mahabharata is talking about. It's political, it's literary, it's about humans because it talks about complex relationships. Just think about women's subordination at that time. But still, Ganga says that you will never ask me what I'm doing. And she's drowning all her children in Ganga river. And when Shantanu just objects her, she leaves him and she goes off. Then he marries Satyavati, who has different kind of relationship with sage Parashar. At that time, Parashar comes from one caste and she comes from another tribe, and they are having relationship which is going beyond the social structures. Then Kunti and Karna, their relationship. Ekalavya is a shishya of Drona. So why only he teaches this archery to royal king, the prince, and he is not ready to just teach this particular skill to one boy who comes from forest? One lady marrying five husbands and giving justice to all. These are complex relationships. Kunti and Madri just inviting gods for having children. And Krishna and Draupadi, very, very interesting relationship. Goes beyond any relationship, they become real friends for each other. So, this is about all relations are generally about dominance and subordination. There is unequal relationship. So, we try to see this unequal element in the relationship which is political in character. It also talks about morality, it talks about values, it talks about code of conduct for people, and it talks about duty of kings, how kings should behave, what they should avoid, what they should just, how they should just promote the welfare of people and society. Also, I would come to very basic point and almost the last 2 3 slides that are remaining. I hope I'm not boring you. Here, I would like to say something. This is another version of Mahabharata in India. It comes from the state called Odisha. Sarala Das is the author, who is a Shudra sage, because there was a Varna system in India, a caste system where Shudras came as very from the lowest strata. So it is known as subaltern literature. Okay, so this version, I've shown you the English Roman script as well as Odia script, which talks about Mahabharata. And the picture below just shows us one more art form. In Indonesia, you just translate Mahabharata into woodwork and into puppetry. In India, Orissa, we have this very peculiar art, okay, which this particular artist does all these rangolis and art forms on the beaches of Puri. So this is about the book that he has written, and his face has been just, this is out of respect for that particular Sarala Das, who was the author of Mahabharata. This is Odia version because Mahabharata is completely in Sanskrit, and we are going to talk about politics of language, that Sanskrit was not allowed for those who come from the caste hierarchy as the inferior ones, or those who come from tribes. So Sarla Das tried to just translate it in Odia, so it is just imagined as something very new and very rebellious here. Writers and researchers in the history of Odia literature have stated that this is synthesis of culture, polity, literature, history, and geography. Okay, so I feel that that looks like we this very particular this why this is so important, because Sarala Mahabharat talks about women having agency. Women are important. They are empowered. They are independent, and they always question and challenge their subordination. So that's why we need to understand subaltern literature. I would say subaltern literature is a way of exploring the representation of marginalized groups, deprived groups, backward sections of society, and then their need to express themselves. The term subaltern refers to people who are socially, politically, economically marginalized and often excluded from mainstream. So Sarala Mahabharat has got very importance in the literature and in politics and in culture, because Sarala Das talks from the inferior side of the society and looks at Mahabharata's epic. Now I come to last part, and that is adaptations. Bibek Debroy was the chairman of planning, our Niti Ayog, a politician who looks at this Mahabharat from 10 different volumes he has come out with, and it talks about dharma. Okay, and about the primary concern is dharma is duty, and throughout the epic the characters face dilemmas whether to go in this way or that, and they don't find any answers. So dilemmas are always there. It is not easy. These are the 4 versions. Yukanta is written by Iravati Karve, an anthropologist, a lady who looks at Mahabharata as end of an epoch. And she tried to give literary version as well as political and anthropological side of this epic. Jaya is written by Devdatta Patnaik, who himself is a doctor but a passionate mythologist. So he looks at Mahabharata from the victorious success point of view of Pandavas. The Great Indian Novel is written by Shashi Tharoor, our politician, and it tries to have some kind of analogy with the independence movement of India, and it tries to just depict today's characters in Mahabharata way. And the last is Mahabharati, where 5 women like Draupadi, Satyavati, Gandhari, Kunti, and Rukmini, they held a court before the war and they tried to stop the war. So all these are different adaptations which are very fascinating. I've read them and I felt that I should talk about them because they just come out with a political dimension. Now the last part of it, power of language. intentional construction. What is language? Language is culture, language is construction, language is consciousness of majority. Russian philosopher and literary critic Mikhail Bakhtin said that if there are dialogical approach, that if we just talk about it, if we have a dialogue to an epic that could deconstruct the meanings, those have been just respected or constructed by society for so long. So we can think about equality, we can think about justice, we can think about, say, liberty for all, and we can come out with the traditional forms of all exploitations that used to be there in our societies. Different adaptations talk to us on the similar lines, and I feel that they provide us a hope, optimism of freedom, emancipation, and liberation. Thank you. Terima kasih, every one of you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Gauri, for the outstanding presentation on the Mahabharata. Luar biasa sekali. Terima kasih, Mrs. Gauri, telah mempresentasikan berkaitan dengan Mahabharata. Miss Gauri, we are waiting for a question from the participant.
100%.
Silahkan.
No.
Oke. Silahkan rekan-rekan Bapak Ibu peserta untuk bisa memberikan pertanyaan atau bertanya kepada Mrs. Gauri. Nanti kita sampaikan, jika pun nanti tidak sempat menyampaikan mungkin raise hand, bisa dengan kolom chat di aplikasi Zoom bisa digunakan. Silahkan Bapak Ibu. Oh ya, untuk presensi, Bapak Ibu dan rekan-rekan peserta bisa diklik untuk link presensinya, ada di kolom komentar di link Zoom.
A small request, Ibu, would you please translate the questions from Bahasa to English? When there are questions, I want some translation because I will not be able to just get the meaning of all the questions. I'm sorry.
Oke, Miss Gauri. Nanti akan ditranslate oleh Ibu Wati. Silakan, Bapak Ibu, mungkin jika ada pertanyaan atau mungkin di kolom komentar ada pertanyaan atau tidak.
Yes,
Oke, terima kasih. Yes, monggo, Prof. Yusro. Monggo,
Oke,
Prof.
terima kasih,
Boleh
Mas
ditanyakan
Marwan.
secara langsung, Prof. Iya, Prof.
Ya. Selamat sore, Ibu Gauri.
Selamat sore.
Yeah. Thank you for your presentation today. It's very, very nice, very good.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Terima kasih.
Ibu,
Yes.
about Mahabharata in our country, especially in Indonesia, is very famous. And in our wayang kulit, you know wayang kulit, yeah? Shadow Pipet, yeah? We also know the main stories, yeah.
Yes.
But commonly, we express our feel with the branch of Mahabharata story, like story of Gatot-kaca,
Yes.
story of son of Arjuna, and so on.
Yes.
Yeah, we call as a carangan. Carangan is a part of not the mainstream of Mahabharata stories, but the brands. Yeah, the brands. Yeah, this is popular because we think that's very very dangerous to play the mainstream of story of Mahabharata.
Okay.
Some people thinks that the story of Mahabharata is a secret, is a have a magic, yeah, because yeah, we think that we play the story of like a war of Mahabharata. There is something do in our society, something bad like that. Yeah,
Yes, I
yeah,
understand.
yeah. It's in India. There
Hmm.
is people told the story of Mahabharata have a consequence of yeah. I don't know the meaning in English, yeah,
No,
but
no
about
problem. I got your question, sir. I got your
yeah,
question.
yeah. Okay, this is the first question, yeah. And
Yes.
second, we know the son of Gatotkaca, well,
Hmm.
son of Warkudara, or the son of Bhima.
Hmm. Yes.
The son of Bhima, commonly in India, told is Gatotkaca. But
Hmm.
in Indonesian style or in Javanese style, we have another sons of Bhima, like Antasena and Antareja.
Okay.
It's the same in India.
Okay. Okay.
I
Let me
mean,
just.
that's in
Yes.
India story
Hmm.
is Bhima have a son, another son,
Yes.
yeah, like Antasena and Antareja in Indonesia style.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it is just two questions for me.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Miss Kauri. It's a good presentation and make me more understand about cross-cultural understanding in Indonesia and India. Thank you.
Thank
Terima
you.
kasih,
Thank you,
Mas
sir.
Irwan. Nggih,
Terima
terima kasih,
kasih.
Bu Wati. Ya,
Yes. Terima kasih, Prof. Yusro. Uh, okay, Miss Gauri.
Yes.
This
May
is
I just answer every question, or I have to wait for some more questions to come? What is your style? Or shall I answer him?
okay, Miss Gauri.
Okay.
Langsung
Sir.
dijawab aja ya, Mas Irwan ya.
Yes,
Please
langsung aja.
answer, Bu Gauri.
Okay, thank you. Terima kasih, Bapak Usro Idi Nugroho, for just raising very important cross-cultural element from Mahabharata. You were, if I have just got you correctly, you were saying that mainstream story of Mahabharata, that is the fierce battle between two dynasties, is never told even in puppetry, and you try to go and you try to just depict very small and short versions and different fables and parables, if I'm right. Am I right? Am I getting you properly? So
yes.
in India, many families are not ready to keep the book called Mahabharata at home
Mm.
because they feel this is going to get some bad omen to them. And those scholarly universities, departments, colleges, history related research institutions, they are carrying out this research. Common family man is not so comfortable with Mahabharata story, and they also feel the same way that Indonesian populace is feeling, that it brings bad omen to the family, so we will not keep the book at home. Ramayana, yes, because it is about Lord Ram, Sita, about all the good values. But as Mahabharata is talking about hundreds of virtues, vices, the gamble game of Dyuta, dice, it is not good for any family. So yes, similar kind of mentality and psychology we do share, and we don't allow many traditional families or many families for generations, they are not accepting a book to be kept in the family library, not it is allowed to keep at home. So yes, similar thing. And you were asking about Bhim's sons of Bhim. Gatotkacha is a son of Hidimba and Bhim, which comes from a tribal kind of a family, a Rakshas family. Again, one Kshatriya, one king is marrying one person from other than Kshatriya clan is a different thing in Mahabharata rather than Ramayana. And there is Sarvaga is the son of Draupadi and Bhima. So yes, there are sons other than Gatotkach, and but 5 sons from 5 husbands of Draupadi all were killed by Ashwathama. Okay, on the 16th day of the war, Ashwathama killed all the 5 sons of Draupadi. one son of Arjun, one of Bhima, one of Yudhishthir, one of Nakul, and one of Sahadev. So they all couldn't see the light of the day, and they were not the further kings. Okay, only Janameja and Parikshit, they could continue the clan. So yes, you are right. Only Gatotkacha is very popular, but there are mention of other sons of Bhima as well. Sir, have I answered your questions? Have I answered what Ibuwati? I have given answer to his questions or not?
Yes, already.
Just ask him whether he is happy.
Sudah
Okay.
ya, Pak Yusuf sudah terjawab ya.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Gauri. But I have informed to you that in Indonesia, the son of
Bima.
no, istri Pandawa itu. Siapa istri Pandawa?
Drupadi.
Drupadi, the son of Drupadi.
Huh?
Yeah, in India maybe 5 children. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but in Indonesia we call just only one children's called Pancawala.
Okay.
Yeah, it's mean that in our culture that's a woman uncommon have a five husband.
Yes.
Polyandry.
So yeah, so in our country the wife of Drupadi just only Yudhishthira.
Okay.
Yeah.
She doesn't have 5 husbands the way we have in India.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So this is the
just
basic
only
difference.
One husband.
Yes.
names
Got it.
Yudhishthira, and
Monogamy.
the son just only one names Pancawala.
No, we have Suto, Soma, and Sarvaga. There are 2 more wives to Bhima other than
No. In our puppet story, commonly we just only say one son of Drupadi names
Okay.
Pancawala because he is the son of Yudhishthira.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
this is the adaptation of culture. Yeah,
know.
I think maybe because this is a different background. So
Yes.
come from Islamic background, become one's children's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Polygamy.
Okay.
Sorry, monogamy.
Polyandry.
Polyandry and monogamy. These are the
Yeah,
different things
yeah.
that we can see. 100%.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Gauri. Yeah, thank you, Buwati. Thank you, Mas
Sama-sama.
Erwan.
Iya.
Yeah.
Ini
Terima kasih, Prof.
cross culture ya, cross culture
Yeah.
karena
Cross
in
culture.
Indonesia, especially in Java, I think we don't have the polyandrisme.
Okay.
Ya.
Got it.
Punya
Got it.
paham,
That's
tidak punya paham.
one Swami, one istri.
Yes, one istri maybe can more than
Okay.
polygamy maybe yes, but
Okay, but
polyandry
not
is
polyandry.
not.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, this is about subordination of women. So
Hmm.
Mahabharata talks about very independent women as well. Amba,
Yeah.
you said about Amba. She
Yeah.
became Shikandi and she
Yes.
came Bhishma. So this is also possible because see, social and political angles, the way we look at it, we can talk about it.
Yes, sure.
That is still already in India the concept of polyandry.
No,
Oh, India
No.
also no. Oh ya, tidak juga.
we don't have.
Maybe
There is
in
only
Nepal.
monogamy allowed for Hindus and
Yeah.
polygamy for Muslims, but not
Yeah.
polyandry. It is only
Mm.
one example, and that comes from epic
Yeah.
Mahabharata.
Yeah.
There is no such thing in India as well.
Okay. Thank you, Ibu Gauri.
Yeah.
Terima kasih.
Ya.
Ya.
Silakan Mas Erwan.
Baik. Terima kasih, Prof. Yusro. Terima kasih, Ibu Gauri. Mungkin ada pertanyaan lagi dari peserta yang lainnya untuk Miss Gauri berkaitan dengan Mahabharata yang sangat luar biasa sekali. Tadi disampaikan oleh Bu Wati juga, ini cross culture yang berkaitan dengan Mahabharata. Luar biasa antara Indonesia dengan India itu ternyata banyak kesamaannya ya. Banyak kesamaannya. Dan cerita-cerita yang kita dengarkan dari kecil itu terangkum baik juga dengan cerita-cerita itu di India. Ini menarik sekali. Silakan peserta yang lainnya, Bapak Ibu, rekan-rekan bisa bertanya kepada kami, kepada Miss Gauri. Silakan.
Monggo Ibu Bapak, teman-teman mahasiswa barangkali. Ini tim-tim Bu Susi, tim-tim sastra ini dari Bali sebetulnya ada dari tapi mungkin saking jelasnya ya. So Ibu Gauri, your presentation is very very I mean clearly ya. So we can understand. You give like the structure from the first one Satyawati ya.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm already screenshot also.
yes.
Mungkin kalau tidak ada berarti kita cukupkan Mas Irwan ya.
And
Oke.
excuse
Yes.
me, Ibu, you
Yes.
are a teacher of a language. Sanskrit was allowed only for higher ups in the hierarchy in social structure, and Sanskrit was the language which was not allowed to be used by those who are at the lower end of the society. So this was very bad thing, and that's why that Sarla Das version is very important, because he translated it into another language, Odia, and then it was made available to people. So in Indonesia, you must be having the same language for all. Region wise, it differs. But is it so that only rich people can and only educated can use one language and others can't? So this inequality was very much there in Indian social structure, which was also depicted at the time of Mahabharata.
Ya.
Ibu Wati, kalau diperkenankan, saya bisa dapat salindia dari Ibu Gauri.
Okay. Ibu Gauri, is possible your material sent to me and then I share with to all the
Yes, yes.
participants.
Just once the program is over, I will
Hmm.
send you my presentation.
Sure, Ibu.
Oke.
Thank you. Mungkin ini bisa disampaikan saja Mas Serwan kalau ternyata ada Bayu Baihaki nih ya. Mengenal
Ada.
ini apa? Mengenal Mahabharata. So Bayu, one of them the participant, ini
Yes.
mengenal itu. Oke, monggo.
Nah, ini ada Bayu Bayahaki. Saya justru berterima kasih pada orang-orang yang senantiasa melakukan praktik arsip dan dokumentasi mengenai kisah-kisah lampau. Saya mengenal Mahabharata justru dari penggalan-penggalan puisi yang ada di Indonesia. Nah, jadi Mas Bayu mengenal Mahabharata tidak hanya dari cerita wayang gitu, tetapi Mas Bayu mengenal Mahabharata justru dari penggalan-penggalan puisi yang ada di Indonesia. Makaten.
Iya,
Seperti itu, Bu Wati mungkin bisa
oke.
disampaikan.
Iya, Ibu, in the text have Bayu ya. He introduced about the Mahabharata not only from shadow puppet, but he know Mahabharata from poetry.
Okay.
Yes, a part of poetry. Mahabharata in Indonesia, number one, we got information from Shadow Puppet, ya, Pak Yusro said. Number two, from television. We
Yes,
have
television,
Indian
very
movie.
popular media everywhere.
Yeah, Indian movie, and then the handsome actor. The handsome
Okay,
actor. So sometimes we not only remember about the story, but we remember about the actor.
I know.
Yeah,
Yes,
Arjuna, of course. Yeah,
yes,
Shahir. Yeah, Arjuna. So remember about the actor. And then number three from the novel.
yes,
And
novels.
then yes, and then number four. Yeah, I think for like I mean the apa ya acculturation ya. So like to the modern Mahabharata, but already to redesign.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
This is
One
happening.
of
Adaptations, we call
yes.
adaptations.
One of them is poetry.
Yes.
Yeah.
So apart
Or
from the two things, you added poetry and television.
yes.
Yes.
Or sometime not only inform about the Mahabharata, but apart. Prof. Yusro said apart. Only story about the Arjuna. Only
Okay.
story about the Drupadi. Only story about how to Destarasta to blind. Mengapa desa rasa harus buta? Ya.
Okay.
Or like me, I always to write my poetry about Dewi Amba.
Okay.
Yeah. So a part of redesign from the Mahabharata story.
I know.
Yeah,
Very
itu.
good.
Ya.
Yes. Thank you for
Iya.
sharing.
Ya, Ibu.
Terima
Itu Om
kasih,
Irwan mungkin dari
Bapak Bayu Bahihaki.
Bayu Bayhaki. Oke, thank you, Miss Gauri. Bapak Ibu semuanya, ini sudah masuk ke dalam waktu untuk kita akhiri. Terima kasih pada Miss Gauri. Thank you for Miss Gauri for providing use in Indonesia with knowledge related in the Mahabharata. Terima kasih banyak Miss Gauri atas waktunya, atas pengalaman pengetahuannya berkaitan dengan Mahabharata yang disampaikan ke kami. Luar biasa sekali pengetahuan-pengetahuan tentang Mahabharata. Akhirnya teman-teman peserta, Bapak Ibu dosen, mahasiswa berkaitan dengan cerita-cerita Mahabharata ternyata tidak hanya didapat dari cerita wayang, tetapi juga ada dari puisi, dari naskah-naskah yang lainnya. Sehingga Mahabharata dikenal luas, dikenal kuat di Indonesia, bahkan ada serial filmnya yang menjadi ikonik. Mungkin Bu Wati juga terinspirasi waktu nonton film Mahabharata, itu akhirnya terinfluence sampai sekarang India luar biasa sekali Mahabharata, bahkan terinternalisasi ya, Bu Wati. Thank you for Miss Gauri, waktu dan pengetahuannya yang sangat luar biasa disampaikan ke kami. Terima kasih Bapak Ibu peserta, terima kasih Ibu Ketua Umum. Saya sebagai moderator mohon maaf atas segala kekurangannya, atas kegiatan pada sore hari ini. Jika ada kurangnya saya mohon maaf. Saya kembalikan ke Bu Wati untuk closing statement berkaitan dengan kuliah pakar dengan narasumber Miss Gauri Kopar Dekar PhD. Monggo Ibu Dr. Wati.
Iya, baik. Terima kasih Pak Irwan. Terima kasih untuk para sahabat yang sudah hadir ya. Di sini Mas Kholik, kemudian tadi ada Pak Bayu Bayhaki atau Mas Bayu ya. Kemudian dari rekan-rekan Jawa Timur, Bu Susi, Bali ya, Pak Sidi, Prof. Isa, kemudian juga beberapa rekan-rekan lainnya. Terima kasih sudah bergabung, Bu Dwi ya, juga dari Divisi Humas dan beberapa kolega-kolega lain yang masih membersamai. Baik, intinya adalah bahwasannya ada beberapa hal terkait dengan tadi disampaikan, ada peristiwa sejarah yang memang sangat memiliki daya tarik, khususnya nanti bisa kita kaitkan dengan hal-hal yang berkaitan dengan sastra maupun salah satunya yang ini kita ambil dari sisi politik. Nah, Mahabharata menjadi sebuah epik yang kita bisa mendapatkan banyak filosofi, banyak hal terkait dengan moral dan nilai-nilai, kaitannya juga dengan tentang ketuhanan. Dan terima kasih untuk Ibu Gauri. Thank you very much. It's very nice and very clearly not only explain about the Mahabharata, but you also like inform to us for the young people. Ya, ini all my student, maybe all the student in Indonesia, the first time don't know about the Mahabharata after listen from your information about the Mahabharata. I hope they can reading for the novel or everything about the literature from Mahabharata story.
Yes.
Ya, nanti teman-teman mahasiswa silakan dibaca itu Mahabharata karena teman-teman akan mendapatkan pengetahuan tentang kesusastraan, tentang bahasa yang luar biasa di situ dan tentunya nanti mendapatkan banyak karakteristik bagaimana menilai like to we can know how to the characteristic from the person, right? One by one, of course. Begitu, terima kasih, sukses selalu untuk kuliah pakar, terima kasih untuk para pengurus harian, Om Irwan, Mas Anang, dan juga Mbak Ida sebagai host, dan juga teman-teman. Jangan lupa untuk isi link presensi, dan happy weekend untuk Ibu Gauri, and hope we can see on not only online, but we can see offline. Thank you,
Yes.
and terima
Baik,
kasih.
terima kasih.
Terima kasih Ibu Gauri.
Terima
Terima
kasih.
kasih Ibu Gauri.
Ampun.
Terima
Ya.
kasih all of you.
Terima kasih Ibu
Yes,
Gauri.
thank you
Terima kasih
Ibu
Oh,
Gauri.
ini
Terima
ada
kasih
Sahil. Ibu
Ibu
Gauri
Gauri.
ada Sahil.
Turun.
Sahil is my student also from India. I think
Iya,
many Indian student
Sahil
come.
juga.
Sahil.
Sachin also.
Okay.
Many
So there are
Indian.
Indians.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Do you feel that I have given justice to the topic?
Yeah. Sorry for late, ma'am. I was in class.
No, I can understand. So I just welcome Sahil and Sachin. Just
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
an affinity, but there were more than 100 students and other guests. Terima kasih every one of you.
Terima
Oke,
kasih.
thank you.
Sampai jumpa
Terima
lagi.
kasih Ibu.
Terima kasih.
Sampai jumpa lagi.
For sure, ma'am. I guess your presentation was really, really enriching.
Thank you.
Terima kasih. Ini mungkin kita tutup ya,
Kind
Mas.
of
Mas Anang bisa
detailing you have
ditutup ya.
talked about.
Oh, Anuj
May I
also.
leave?
Anuj join.
May I
Yes,
leave now? May I leave?
yes, Ibu. Yes, we closing.
Yes, yes,
Mas Anang
Okay.
bisa ditutup sudah ya?
bisa Bu. Saya tutup
Iya.
Bu.
Oke.
Iya.
Ya, silakan Mas Anang.
Oke, baik. Terima kasih kepada Ibu Wati, Bapak Irwan, dan Ibu Gauri atas kesempatan pada sore hari ini telah terselenggara kuliah pakar.